with these 50 CASs, and the Daily Nation tells us why the court threw out Ruto's 50 CASs. It is the second time the positions dished out mostly to poll losers have been nullified. We have two quotes on the front page here. What the judges said: it is our considered view that it was not the intention of the framers of the Constitution to create positions of 50 CASs to deputize 22 cabinet secretaries. And another quote here: accordingly, the newly created office and fresh complement of 50 had to comply with the Constitution and the criteria set out earlier in Okiya Omtata's case. In order to be lawfully established, they did not comply. For the avoidance of doubt, the entire complement of 50 CASs is therefore unconstitutional. And that was the majority view. What next? President William Ruto suffered a big blow yesterday after the High Court declared his move to appoint 50 chief administrative secretaries as unconstitutional. Will he obey the law, or, like his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, just ignore it? And I will also be looking at another front page from a couple of days ago by the Daily Nation, speaking of how it is business as usual between the two administrations. But let's take a look at how the Standard described the situation. And before I invite my panelists to weigh in, get their views on whether they welcomed the judgment or are in opposition to it. CASs, and this is the Standard now. Judges deal Ruto body blow. President William Ruto is between a rock and a hard place on what he will use to reward his cronies after the courts found the chief administrative secretary position unconstitutional. The move will save taxpayers 187 million shillings in salaries over the 4 years they would have served. So this is how the Standard puts it. Let's see how the Star does the same. And here we go. Just loading, Give it a few seconds. Here it is. Judicial hurdle. Court blocks Ruto's CASs, declares the 50 positions unconstitutional after suspending tax laws. And that image again of the 50 CASs when they were sworn in at State House Nairobi on March the 23rd. And Taifa Leo, as usual, as you would expect, puts it very colorfully. And this is what they say: Watolewa nyama mdomoni is their headline. And they have images of some of the most, what should I call vocal? Perhaps let me say vocal, notable. Let me put it that way. I don't want to say notorious, but notable. Appointees: Dr. Evans Kidero, Dennis Itumbi, Millicent Omanga, Catherine Waruguru, Fred Ota, Wilson Sosion, Kimani Ngunjiri, Hatib Mwashetani, Margaret Wanjiru, Isaac Mora, who we saw incensed at the courts yesterday, Benjamin Washiali, Charles Njagwa, it's Nicholas Gumbo there. So those are the images on the front page of the Taifa Leo. Nerima, I'll start with you. What did you see that judgment coming? Let me put it that way.
I did see that judgment coming. Interestingly, we were having lunch with some of my colleagues here, and we were discussing that. And it's important first, to commend the courts for standing with the people. Secondly, because we've been seeing this particular administration asking us to tighten our belts. However, the public has been asking a lot of questions around how come you don't have to tighten your belts and we have to. So the judiciary definitely did a good one because we're seeing our legislative, basically letting us down with the finance bill in terms of the debate that we have been keenly watching, and the executive making a number of promises and not necessarily standing by those promises. So the judiciary was left in terms of standing with the people, and so they did. So for me, I commend them on this one.
All right, I'm curious what your thoughts are. Vivian Todd, you welcome. the judgment?
Very, very welcome. Very welcome. We commend the judiciary. I sort of had lost a bit of hope in them after the presidential petition ruling, just the manner in which the ruling was done. But I think they are quickly getting back into the good graces of Kenyans. I think the ruling is very welcome. Especially because, for real, like, you know, from a lot of people's perspective, it is unconstitutional. These positions are not provided for in the Constitution. And despite the fact that the former president, you know, included these positions in his cabinet, it doesn't make it, you know, legal or right. So I'm waiting to see what the president is going to do with all his poor loser cronies who have been rendered out of, you know, lucrative jobs. But it's good for Kenyans because then we were going to take up a couple of million shillings extra in wage bill, which we don't have. We don't really have. So this is, for me, this is a very welcome move by the judiciary. They're really getting back in my good graces.
All right. I want to, actually what you've made reference to has been referred to on 2 of the front pages at least, including the Daily Nation, which says, where is that part? Yes, it's the second time positions dished out mostly to poor losers. And then this is how I believe it was it the Standard put it? They said, yes, the president is between a rock and a hard place on what he will use to reward his cronies after the court found the chief administrative secretary position unconstitutional. All right, I wait to hear what Sylvia and Annabelle will have to say on the subject. But let's take a look at what else is making headlines. Back to the Daily Nation, also on the front page, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the 2022 health survey. And they've listed what is good, what is bad, what is ugly. Let's take a quick look here at these numbers. The good, reduction in fertility rate from 6.7% to 3.4%. I'm guessing that one will be a little bit contentious. There are those who may not see a reduction in fertility rate as a good thing. Antenatal visits at 98%. Decline in home deliveries from 34% in 2014 to 11% in 2022. Reduction of under 5 mortality from 52 deaths per 1,000 live births to 41 per 1,000 live births in 2022. Male involvement in maternal health care at 95%. Male circumcision at 94%. The bad is obesity and being overweight on the increase. Malaria, more Kenyans not accessing insecticide-treated bed nets brings to mind the KEMSA tender scam. Only 3 in 10 households can afford to buy food, and only 1 in 4 Kenyans have health insurance. The ugly, 1 in 5 children has never received any form of immunization. 43% of women agree that it is okay for their partners to beat them when they disagree. Only 14% of reproductive age women have been screened for breast cancer, with only 17% being screened for cervical cancer. So just some of the highlights from the report released yesterday by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and it is the KDHS, the Kenya Demographic Health Survey 2022. All right, let me see if I've missed anything on the front page. Yes, and we'll get more into. I'll take a little bit of a closer look at some of these. The edible oil firms' fault move to reduce tariffs on imports. Public sector wage bill, which has everything to do with what we're discussing this morning, hits new record as civil service pay rises. Staff to get raise this July. Let's take a look at that back page before we go back to the front pages. And public sector wage bill hits new record as civil service pay rises. SRC has lined up 8% salary raise for civil servants, the first in 6 years. In this report by Brian Ambani, Kenya's public wage bill, which has grown by at least 5.69% annually for the past 7 years, is set to hit a new high when civil servants get a parity pay rise this month. The public bill crossed the trillion mark for the first time last year to reach 1.055 trillion shillings for the 2021-2022 financial year, up 5.69% from a wage bill of, sorry, let me just read my hard copy. I'm struggling to read what is on my screen. Up from 998 billion the previous year. This wage bill accounted for about 51.77% of the 2 trillion ordinary revenue collected by the Kenya Revenue Authority during the period, underlining the impact of the ballooning wage bill on government coffers. However, the SRC, which is yet to release wage bill estimates for the year ended 2022-23 fiscal year, has lined up an 8% pay increase for civil servants, the first in 6 years. Assuming the public sector grows at a minimum rate of 5.69%, the wage bill will exceed 1.12 trillion shillings in the 2022-23 financial year and grow to at least 1.2 trillion in the new financial year. The Commission has resisted President William Ruto's advice to stop a salary raise for senior government officials and is collecting comments on the proposed pay rise by Thursday next week, after which it will gazette the new salaries. Okay, just a little bit more detail here. Ruto on Friday directed SRC, which is independent of the executive, to stop the pay increase for members of parliament, principal secretaries, cabinet secretaries, and deputy president himself and other top government officials. The question we'll be asking, therefore, in the once we get into the topic is this public relations on his part? Okay, let's take a look now at closer at the other front pages. We hadn't touched on the Business Daily, but this is their headline. Kenya car buyers hit by a 35% import duty in new EAC deal. Kenyan car imports now more expensive than Uganda, Rwanda, duty to result in 14% increase in prices. Half of educated women of reproductive age are obese. This report by Angela Okech and Amina Wako. And on the ticker, why CAS ruling, what CAS ruling means for the president. The High Court yesterday declared the 50, as I've mentioned before, CAS appointments unconstitutional. Kenya set for SGR loan payment with 63 billion shilling outlay. Let's see what accompanies that on the front page. The Treasury is bracing itself for a fresh raid on Kenya's foreign exchange reserves to fulfill external debt service worth 63.5 billion shillings this month, with the bulk of the funds covering biannual repayments for the Standard Gauge Railway, loans procured from China, and 1.8 million shilling digital loan defaulters get clean record. About 1.8 million digital loan defaulters have got a clean credit rating after they took advantage of a 6-month credit repair backed by the CBK to reset their history. So I'll leave the Business Daily there. We already took a look at the Taifa Leo. Let's see. The Standard, we looked at the first half. Let's take a look at the bottom half of the front page. Hits and misses of Kenya's health journey. Raila says protests will not end until we see good results. At the very top here, truck brakes failed, says Londiani driver Gilbert Ntuyemungu, who is recovering in Nakuru Hospital, says his vehicle lost control and caused him to ram into other motorists and roadside traders. More on page 10 of the Standard. And farmers will soon supply potatoes to KFC. You will recall that story. I remember I'm the one who filed this particular story when you would order from KFC and you would not, you could not get fries on account of they imported their potatoes. So now farmers will soon supply potatoes to KFC. More on that on page 26 of the Standard. Let's take a look at what else we left out on the front page of the Star. And they also highlight a couple of things from the KDHS survey. Majority marriages come we stay is what the survey shows. And also on the front page, Kenyans shun mosquito nets due to hot weather. Kenyans who have expressed various reasons why they don't use mosquito nets when they go to bed Kenyans have expressed various reasons why they do not use mosquito nets when they go to bed, despite the dangers of getting infected with malaria. Majority shun nets because of the hot weather, a survey shows. And pay insurance and leave await interns in proposed law. University and college students seeking internship opportunities will be entitled to a stipend, personal accident insurance cover, and leave days if a new bill becomes law. Good progress. More on that on page 8 of the Star. And why Shantu Magistrate Court released Pastor Mackenzie's wife on page 7 of the Star, leaving only one front page that we haven't looked at, and it is the People Daily, and they focus on the health scorecard. I think I may have zoomed in a little bit too close there. Health scorecard, the hits and misses, demographic survey, the 10 years of Uhuru led. Oh, yes, the 10 years of Uhuru led to improved health and wealth of Kenyan households. A new report has shown, but there are many areas that still need to be improved, particularly in northern Kenya. They have shared the front page. This report on the demographic and health survey shares the front page with this one. CAS jobs illegal, say judges as they send 50 home. So I will leave this there. They also have Raila Odinga. Sabasaba will be the D-Day for Ruto's, quote, Ruto's punitive tax laws. We've now been joined by Sylvia Mulama. Good morning.
Good morning.
Love the emerald.
Thank you.
So I wanted to give you opportunity to respond to the High Court judgment that the 50 CAS appointments were unconstitutional. Did you welcome the judgment? Are you in support of them moving to the appellate court?
At least for once in Kenya, we see a government that is respective of the judiciary. And the decision that was made by the 3 judges is what they deem as important for the nation. And so the government, of course, will sit back and wait and listen and see what happens going forward. However, it's a moment for Kenyans to know that we can start trusting our judicial system, and we can also trust our government on the other hand, that nothing has been swept under the carpet, because these things have happened before and they've all been rushed through, or somebody has been talked to behind the closed doors and they've had to make decisions perhaps they weren't happy about. But this, we can see that the president, even though it was his desire, and of course it happened in the previous government, that he had appointed these 50 CSs, and to be frankly honest, there is a lot of work to be done to deliver on the Kenya Kwanza mandate. And so for him to let the process take due course through the judiciary system is respect from him, and I think we should applaud him for the steps he's taking, for giving every institution, as he promised through the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, that they will make sure that all the government institutions are left to work independently. And that's exactly what we are seeing. So yes, it's a blow to all the people that had been appointed, because of course, they got appointed a few months ago. They've been waiting, they haven't been to office, they haven't been paid any salaries, and now another kick to say, you can't go on with these jobs. So, somehow, some way, something has to happen, but the due process has to be followed.
All right, so I'll come back with some of your views on the subject. I know Aaron Cheriot has the judiciary in his crosshairs, first with the suspension of the Finance Act, and now with this judgment on the appointment of 50 CASs. Before we take the break and come back now substantively with the conversation, and I just want to remind you that we do have Nerima Wako as part of this panel. She's joining us virtually, so you may not see her in studio, but she is with us. I had earmarked a few stories in the Daily Nation. I will go through them very quickly, and I will start with page 10 of the Daily Nation. It has to do with KQ and the most recent bailout figures. KQ debt to cost taxpayers 1.42 billion shillings more. MPs say this will be interest and principal payments on the refinanced guaranteed loan. I also thought this story warranted mention. This one is by David Mwere. Proposed law seeks death penalty for homosexual acts. Individuals who engage in homosexual acts risk capital punishment upon conviction if a proposed bill becomes law. The draft Family Protection Bill of 2023 by Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma seeks the prohibition of aggravated same-sex acts. The bill proposes life imprisonment for anyone who changes his or her sex or takes prescriptions or undergoes procedures intended to change his or her sex. To promote and protect the family institution, the bill seeks to prescribe any form of carnal knowledge, whether consensual or otherwise, marriage or any other relationship involving people of the same sex. If the proposal becomes law, it will be a big blow to members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer grouping. And a quote here, a person who engages in sexual acts with a person of the same sex commits an offense and shall upon conviction be sentenced to death. That is clause 32(1) of the bill. I'll just flip one page over and conclude the newspaper review there. And here, MPs launch probe into NHIF claims scandal. So we keep an eye on this following that special NTV investigative report that was done by Ibrahim Karanja. Remember, you can find it on the ntvkenya.co.ke website. And lastly, I just wanted to mention on the pages on counties, Vihiga MCAs, because now this one is related to or touches on what in part what we are discussing this morning. Here we go. No, okay, I have skipped it. I mean, I haven't quite reached it, but here it is. And Vihiga raise pay allocation to cover housing tax MCAs. The County Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee has recommended that more funds be allocated for salaries and wages of county employees to accommodate the housing levy. All right, I will leave the newspaper review at that point. We come back on the other side of this break with the conversation on whether the president is a master of doublespeak, having appointed 50 chief administrative secretaries, yet rejecting the SRC's proposal of increasing state officers' pay, coming on the back of the Finance Act, which some rejected.
Have you noticed Yana and Anna are fighting all the time again? Do you know why?
I don't.
No, who knows? I'm used to it. You're like two peas in a pod. You two ruin your wedding yourselves.
Uh-huh, I agree. And when you were putting the rings on, you looked at each other like strangers.
But you said you remember our place.
You misunderstood me. I remember perfectly. We went to Kanav with the class. Lasha was sick and didn't go. But I can't recall where we were exactly. Where should I drive to?
You know, no need to come. Stay in the room and rest.
Nunua KPLC tokens, Bela charges. Only on Airtel Money. Dial *334#. Select Lipa na Airtel Pay Bill, then select KPLC.
Do not hold back in any situation. Eno gets to work on the 6 symptoms of heartburn fast.
You do know you said all of that out loud, right?
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
2 out of the 3 girls, or 3 women, let's say, are not privy to sanitary napkin or sanitary pad, which is a very, very essential product, you know. But this is a basic product which should be made available to each and every girl and each and every woman. The issue is affordability. Due to the lack of sanitary pads to the girls, especially in the school time, they are not able to go to the school while they are in their menstrual period. This results into some kind of some girls getting dropped out from school. So once they are dropped out, it's early marriage and all those problems and they're not getting employment because they're not educated. Every stakeholder should contribute his best. But with this wonderful event you're doing, let's kickstart this campaign.
Own your dream home for as low as 1.98 million Kenya shillings in Vipingo Kilifi. SMS Vipingo to 22365 or call us today on 0740 400 215. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, welcome back to AM Live. We've been joined by Annabelle Njoki, an advocate. I had asked the other panelists to weigh in on what has graced the front pages of pretty much all the dailies apart from the Business Daily and People Daily, and that is the High Court judgment on the appointment of 50 CASs. Your thoughts? Did you see it coming? I had asked the same of Nerima Wako. There was this debate. Now, given you're an advocate, there was this debate over stay and etc. Can you perhaps, if you had occasion to listen to it, shed some light on what that debate was all about and what the implications would have been?
First of all,